Good day from WA. Hi and welcome to my channel. Today is a special day for me. It's going to be my very first giveaway. I started my YouTube channel a few weeks ago and I have a few subscribers. Thank you very much to those people who have subscribed to my channel. The giveaway is going to be a journal, and all the items that you see in front of you are going to be what I'm going to use to make the journal. So during April I will make this journal and you will be able to enter the giveaway on this video that you're watching now, so that you don't have to wait until I've finished or wait until there's 100 subscribers. But in the meantime, while you're waiting for that to happen, you can actually enter for the journal. All you'll need to do is subscribe to my channel, like the video, and make a comment. So the comments that you make could be anything really. I'm not going to say, a rule about what the comments have to be. Here's some suggestions. So you might want to comment on what you like about the items in front of you. Obviously we've got Edith Holden pages that are going into the journal, and some actual vintage ephemera like these cigarette cards. It is going to be a vintage style journal, so you could comment on what you like about in your vintage journal or how you like them to look. You could comment on how you found junk journaling, how long you've been junk journaling and what you've done so far. Any kind of comment, where you're from, so your country and your the closest major city to where you live. It would be really interesting to see from the comments where everybody's from. So over the next few weeks I'm going to make this into a journal, all the goodies that you see in front of you. So I've given you the instructions so you can subscribe, like, and enter the giveaway. And if you haven't got time to watch the rest of this video, then that's all you need to know for the giveaway. However, if you'd like to know a little bit more about the journal that I'm going to be making, stick around and I'll just go through some of the items that I've pulled out to make the journal. The journal is going to have one signature, so I have actually put the pages together, and they may change. I still made a change just now, so until the pages are sewn in, nothing is set in stone. But this is the basic concept for the pages. They are taken from vintage books and scrapbook paper. So let's have a look through. This will be the front cover of the signature. So we've got vellum. I picked orange because I thought it sort of toned in with the cover page. So we have this beautiful Edith Holden page on the cover, which is very fitting because we're making the journal in April. And of course this page is lovely and spring looking, which I know that most of you in the rest of the world are in spring at the moment, but here down under we're in autumn or fall. But that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me what season it is. It's just a really pretty page, and it is April everywhere, so that's fine. So here we have a coffee dyed or tea dyed. All my pages are probably more likely to be tea dyed than coffee dyed, but this was bright white, so this is now tea dyed. This is the back of the page. This was taken from the Edith Holden Nature Notes journal, but the centre page is actually going to come from the Country Diary of Edwardian Lady. This is some scrapbook paper, which I thought sort of matched in, and I've tea dyed that. This is some tea dyed, maybe coffee dyed. I'm not too sure. It's either tea or coffee dyed. This is a beautiful picture from a painting book, a ceramic painting book that I have. It's vintage. It's like from the 70s. It has all these gorgeous pictures in there where she's partway through painting the ceramics. And on the back you could actually colour it in yourself. This is just a cash book, vintage cash book, scrapbook paper that I've again tea dyed. This is from my Look to the Rose journal, which I vintaged up and given it, because this was very bright white, so I've just given it a vintage look. You can still go around the edge. So here we have the back of the Look to the Rose. Here's a page from the book that actually has four roses, so it has a rose on every page, so it's actually a beautiful book. Just some coffee dyed or tea dyed doily, some more vellum. I like to match the vellum with the colours underneath, so we get that, the yellow, and then we get the surprise underneath. This is probably not super vintage, but I just like this book. It has these positive sentiments and little sayings, and the colours match. This was just in my stash from an op shop, but I tea dyed it so that it doesn't look quite so bright, but I think it's still quite nice. And then this is a vintage gardening book with nice kind of vintage looking images. So some pretty writing paper, and I think they're dog roses as well. And the centre spread is Edith Holden's dog roses. some plain paper. This is just copy paper. Some embossed sort of wallpaper which came from Which Craft Do You Do, which I've tea dyed because it was very, very bright white. Some blank music manuscript paper, which is blank on the other side. Some more copy paper, which I've tea dyed. This is some very vintage dot matrix paper, when we used to have dot matrix printers before inkjets were even invented. And I know the year of this paper is exactly 1991 because it has a date on it, and it was my parents' paper. Some vintage music paper, which is, I'm thinking this is actually from the 30s, 40s, possibly 50s. It's from a really old vintage music book, which I just absolutely love. It's Schubert, but I just love the density of the notes. It's also in German, which I really like the fact that it's in a different language, because I find sometimes the words of the songs very distracting. So I can't read German. I hope it's a positive sentiment. I don't know what it says. Another doily. And now we're coming towards the center, so we have some more vellum paper, because I just love the look of the vellum over a pretty picture. So of course this is Edith Holden, and these are spearworts apparently. Never heard of them. Brook lime and dusky cranesbill and figwort. These wonderful names of flowers I've never heard of. Of course we don't have those here in Australia. And then this is the center of the signature, dog roses and honeysuckle. So you can see that colour did match that rose was very similar to that paper that. So that's the center of the spread. I like the center to be unencumbered, so that I always do a really nice center page. I just like it that way. And you can either possibly decorate the corners, the blank parts, but otherwise you want to keep the beautiful Edith Holden page just as it is. And it has, I hadn't even noticed that it has pretty poem, I guess, by Matthew Arnold. I'm not going to read the whole poem out. You can read that in your own time. Pause the video if you want to read the poem. So that's I hadn't even noticed the back of the Edith Holden page actually. The rest of the doily, I'll just speed through the back of the pages because they're obviously the same. So you can see the date on here, 2nd of April 1991. And yep, backs of those pages. So I just love this book. I have to find out where it's from or what it is and see if I can find another one. The back of the Look to the Rose page, which I've tea dyed to make it more vintage. Back of the copy paper, the scrapbook paper. That's the signature that I've sort of created so far. It may change, I may add to it. Just counted the pages, not counting the vellum and the doilies. It's 18 pages, which is 72 front and back pages. But of course, because a lot of them are, quite a few of the pages are decorative and pretty like this, where you might not want to change them, but I have included as many, some plain papers as well for you to decorate. So that's the signature. It needs to be, obviously it will be trimmed up. I leave this edge to the end, so I wait until the cover's made, and I make sure that I like the cover to be underneath, and so it will be trimmed up at the end. But I think I've done the height how I want it to be. So let's measure the height of the signature. It'd be about 25 centimeters or 10 inches high, and the width is likely to be about 8.5 inches or 21 centimeters wide. So I like to make a decent sized journal. That's just my preference. I don't like to cut into the pages, so I like to be able to keep as much of the image as possible. And yeah, that's just the way I work. It's just the way I like. You can reduce the size of the pages if you don't want them all so big. So this one could easily be folded over and turned into a smaller page. You could do that with those papers, or the copy paper, or the scrapbook papers. Any of these pages, you don't have to have them all large, but it basically gives you the option of having making tuck spots or not. You can obviously you can do whatever you like, but What I wanted to do was to create a journal that has all the basics in there. It has vintage paper. It's not from a kit. There's no kit pages in here. There is only vintage book paper and scrapbook paper which has been tea dyed. So no kits. I'm not saying there won't be kits in some of the decorations that I might make, but I just wanted this journal to be very vintage. Obviously there's some new pages. These are not vintage. They're brand new. I only ordered them last week. But no printed kit pages. They're all, you know, vintage from book pages or scrapbook paper. So that's the signature. Let's put that to the side. Also included with the journal, loosely, I'm going to just include these so that you can do with these as you like. Some vintage Will's cigarette cards. So these are originals. I don't know what year these were from. Are they from the 40s or the 50s? I'm not too sure. But I've just chosen some that again go with the colour scheme of the yellows and oranges and browns. So we've got 2 bird and 2 floral. These cards don't look intensely vintage. They're quite shiny. However, the date on them, 1995 and 1994, they are shiny, but again, I'm just going to include these loose. You can use them in your journal or not, or you can give them away, or if you don't like the shiny, you can put matte gel medium on them. It's going to be your option. So I'm not going to alter any of the actual vintage ephemera. It's just going to be as is, so that you can do with it, the person who wins it can do with it as they like. Now I collect playing cards. I have a huge stash, and you may get more than this, but I just thought I'd show you a few of the ones that I've chosen so far. So we've got the 2 rose playing cards, which I've got 2 reds. I'm going to change that to a red and a black. I tried to include a red and a black and a matched pair, so we'll change that. What have we got here? We've got green peacock, and we've got a red and a black matched pair. And these holly hobbies, again, just for the colour scheme. You may not like holly hobby in your vintage journal. It's optional. You can give them away or whatever, but I'm not going to stick them on a page or anything. It's just totally optional. And these 2 cards, which have a pretty blue backing, which is why I bought them, was for the owl, and I couldn't actually see what was on them, but they're not actually playing cards. They're kind of reading cards. But anyway, I chose 2 that had positive sentiments, and again, you can use them or not use them. So those will be included in the pack in a kind of an envelope. I have some of these postcards, which they don't look hugely vintage, but I picked them. They are vintage, but I picked them for the colour schemes that go with this journal, with some of the yellow flowers and the orange flowers, and this one's an Australian wattle, I believe. Threepence. So this is a nice, beautiful, vintage, original postcard, 9th of August 1966, sent to someone in Devon. I have to say it's been kept nice, but I bought all these cards from an antique shop. So these 2 cards, I sort of think they're vintage. They do have dates on them, copyright 1977, but I don't know if it's a reprint. So it has a little bit of age to it, not too much, but I mostly again picked them for the colour scheme of the cards. So theoretically vintage, but not 1920s vintage or anything like that. They're just from the 70s, I would think. There's all of the cards. I may find more items, vintage items, to include in the pack, but at the moment that's what I've sort of come across in my stash to include. So we'll just move that to the side, and we'll look at the cover next. So this is my ideas for the cover. I don't know if I already showed you this journal. This is the journal I've already made, which is kind of my prototype. Using this print, which I had found in an op shop, I found 4 of these. It won't be the same as this, I realise, because this rose has a pinkish tone, and so I did use pinkish sort of trims and ribbons and tinted the roses pink. So I don't know how the cover's going to turn out, but it will be similar to that, but not the same as that. So this is the kind of the trims that I've picked out so far. So this I found this in an op shop. I can't tell you an age, it won't be brand new, but it may not be hugely old either. I don't really know, but I just thought it was pretty. I love the sort of peachy orangey tones in that one. And then there's this sort of a handkerchief, which may or may not get used. I may just use a corner of it. I want to use these, at least one of them. If you saw my making of the cover for my mum's journal, I wanted to put these in, but I couldn't. I don't know, I couldn't make them fit. So I would like to use these somewhere in this journal. I think the colours go nicely. We've got this extra piece of doily, which may or may not make it in. I'm not too sure yet. I found this just now. Well, it was in my stash, but I didn't remember getting it. It was just in a bag of items that I got from an op shop, and I just threw it in my trim box. So again, a whole bunch of probably vintage trim, because you know, it doesn't look or even feel new. It actually just has that flimsy, aged feel to it. So I do think that might be at least vintage, certainly not brand new. But this one here is a really pretty trim that I might use. I haven't used this very much yet, but this is brand new. I bought this from Spotlight, but I just loved the rose trim. But the rose trim might not work because this is not a rose. If anyone can tell me what this flower is, I would appreciate it. I don't know flowers very much. So 2 of the pictures that I have were roses and 2 were different. So I can't find the other picture. Oh, here. So this is one of the other ones. It's obviously a rose. And the one that I used was a rose. And then there's these 2. That one might be an orchid, mightn't it? It's possibly an orchid, but I have no clue what that flower is. If you're looking for a comment and you don't know what to comment on, and you know about flowers, let me know what that flower is. That would be awesome. And then we've got just a piece of upholstery pieces. I've got a whole box full from an op shop. It was awesome because there's lots of different colours. So this colour matches perfectly. I really like that, so we'll use that somewhere on the front. And then I really liked this. This has got a lovely soft feel to it. I'm going to do the same thing. The other journal that I made has used this beautiful suede. And so I found this in my stash. I've only got one of these. It has this beautiful soft feel. It's obviously been used and washed and worn, so I'm assuming it's very vintage. It's certainly not brand new, but it certainly makes it look kind of warm and cozy and homely sort of thing. So I like the idea of this as the cover, so I'll just have to even it up and match it up. That's the idea of the cover. I like the idea of having the frill on the edge, so the cover will go something like here, and it will go something like this. I probably will put a closure in underneath. It'll just probably be sari ribbon. I've got some genuine sari pieces, and I've got some sari length somewhere as well, so I'll probably have a sari closure. So that's my idea for the cover. So yeah, I will film the process, but I will edit out all of, too much of the boring stuff where I take so long to choose. So I'll probably just end up showing you what I decide on. So they're all the kind of possibilities for the journal cover. And then I'm also going to include in the pack that you receive with the journal, you will also receive some extra papers. Because, as I say, I want to make this a really vintage journal, I thought I would give the recipient a whole bundle of lovely vintage papers. And then if you want to do some collaging or making your own tags and that kind of thing, you'll have plenty of pieces of paper in different sort of vintage colours. So these books range from, I think this one is the King's Row, which is from the 1920s. So it's a page from King's Row. There's an old dictionary. This one's an old French explanation dictionary, a music book. And they're all, I forget the ages, but they're all kind of older, like 50s, 60s, 20s, 30s. A German, I don't have the cover of this anymore, so I've got no clue, but I just love the writing. It's very brittle, but it makes great collage paper in German writing. A children's book page. I think this one actually belonged to me. This was a book that I didn't like as a child. And another German page that I found recently. This one's not hugely old, but it's got the vintage kind of paper, and it's again in German. And we have Persian dictionary page, Spanish, I believe, sort of a maths book, or something about molecules or something. It's very complicated. Whether it's in Spanish or English, it wouldn't make any difference. I wouldn't understand it. So, but it's you know, nicely vintage. I think it's from the 50s or 60s. And then we have some Kelly's Directory from the UK. I have this huge book that has thousands of these pages in. So some nice, really dark paper for collaging, and it also comes with these kind of like yellow pages, but they're green. Directory pages, so, and it's from 1973 or 4 or something. You'll also receive a piece of the piano papers. So you'll receive those vintage papers, the vintage cards, and the journal, which that's going to be a journal one day, and the pages. And this paper here on the side is actually going to be the inside cover of the journal. So everything's in front of me. I'm going to make that into a book. I will show you bits and pieces of making the journal, and so yeah, I'll try and keep the videos short and to the point so that you don't have to sit through a whole heap of rambling like I am now. I will basically just be making the journal and basically asking you to subscribe and like the videos and comment, so that we can reach the goal of 100 subscribers, and also at the same time making the journal. And I do have this extra special piece too, which I've put to the side, and I wanted to show you. This is going to be included in the journal, and I will leave it for now as to how I'm going to do this, but I have an idea of how I'm going to use this in the journal. I have an idea of what I'm going to use it for. There you go. I think that's it. Thank you for watching. If you've managed to stay with me this long, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing and liking the video. That will be awesome. And I look forward to continuing to work on the journal and turn it into a book that you can win. So good luck, and enter for the prize, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.